The universe always rewards you when you're willing to let go of something first. And that's the key that a lot of people miss. You have to be willing to give something up that you know you've been holding on to in order to have it replaced with something better. If you're holding on to a person, to a job, to your money from a place of fear and control, then even if you manifest something, it won't be at a higher caliber. You have to make sacrifices in life, and the universe is very demanding. You have to be willing to sacrifice what the ego is clinging on to free up space. Okay, right now you're blocking out your blessing because you're hoarding everything. When you let things go, you free up space and your energy is able to flow more properly. You're not blocking out your blessings anymore.
When you don't expect anything to happen, that's when the unexpected happens. We discovered in our functional MRIs that when the person has the default mode network shut off, which means they're not trying to predict the future, they're not trying to anticipate anything, they're completely in the present moment, the correlation between the decrease in modulation, the decrease in compartmentalization, the more order in the brain, is directly correlated with a mystical experience. And the person who's having that mystical experience, their brain looks like they're on psilocybin. Now, they can't make their brain do that. Somehow, it's happening to them.
I always tell people, do not go into a job thinking about money. Because if you go into a job thinking about money, you're not going to get the most out of it. If you go into a job loving it, being passionate about it, you're going to get everything you got coming out of it. But if you go into that job saying, I'm going to make a whole lot of money, this job's going to pay me this, you ain't going to get nothing out of it. You have to love it first.
Whatever you try to hold on to, the nature of thing is that this is happening. It's going to move away from you. And whatever you try to avoid and push away from you is just a question of time until it's going to move like close towards you. So that means don't touch the water. If you don't want to have a life that is too shaky, don't touch the water. Because in the moment you touch, your touch is the initiation for the ripples to appear. Same way, you want to follow that goal. You want to have it easy along that goal. Don't touch any additional water along your goal. Don't touch it because you like something, and don't touch it because you dislike something. Because when you walk towards the goal and you do here and here and here, you're just going to ripple your whole surroundings, which ultimately means your energy is being just drawn away from your initial goal.
If you're watching this video, it always happens when you least expect it. When you truly want something in life, all of the universe conspires to give you that very thing. But when you choose to focus on that goal day in and day out and obsess over it, your mind will find every single reason why you're not where you should be. It may sound contradictory, but when you stop obsessing about something, your mind is allowed to see it from a bird's eye view, no longer attached to the outcome. And as we all know too well, nothing in life goes as planned. So, it's much better to act as a leaf going down a river stream, never focusing on where you're going to land, where you're going to stop, or what obstructions might be in your way, but just allowing yourself to flow, living in a state of no mind, being at peace, being still. Because if you truly believe everything you want to come true will come true, then you are already that person. So there is no reason for you to believe otherwise. So then there's no reason to focus on the outcome. Focus on what could be or what couldn't be. Just focus on what is. I love you.
The law of detachment made me $1.8 million at 21 years old, and most people are using it completely wrong, but I'm going to tell you how it actually works. Now, most people think the law of detachment, since it says detach, means not caring, but that is completely wrong. The key to the law of detachment is simply not caring about the outputs and only caring about the inputs. By inputs, I mean actually putting work in. If you're talking about the gym, the input would be going to the gym, lifting weights, and the output would be the muscles and the physique. In business, it's the work you put in and the output is the money. The premise of the law of detachment is confidence that your input will get the output done and you're not constantly worried about it, because as long as you're in a state of worrying and needing, everything is going to flee from you and you are not going to attract what you want. But if you're still doing the same work and you're detached from the outcome, you still want it, but you don't care if it happens and you're confident that you will get what you want, that's when everything will come to you.
If you can truly master the law of detachment, I genuinely promise you, anything you want in this life, whether it's the abundance, the money, the car, the relationships, everything will come to you 20 times faster. But the problem is that most people don't know how to detach. They think they just have to simply not care. And then they try not to care, and what do you know? One thing goes wrong and their head spirals out of control. They're mad, they're sad, they're anxious, and so on. So you need to understand that, first of all, detachment is just simply letting go of the emotions that are connected to your end goal. Meaning, do not just simply be working for the money, for the Lamborghini, for the $2 million you want. Do not work for that, because if your brain is feeding off of instant gratification and you don't get the Lamborghini or the $1 million tomorrow, what's going to happen? You're going to get annoyed and sad, right? So Be in a state of deservingness. Be in a state of gratitude, because if you tell the universe that you are deserving of something, it is going to give it to you. That's why when someone says, I need the money, I need the house, right, they're not going to get it. Why? Because they don't feel like they are deserving of it. They need it. So completely let go of your emotions to your goals, because they are holding you back, and just simply live in the present moment and do what you can right now, right? Whatever happens, happens. Expect the best, expect the worst. If the worst happens, you already expected it. If the best happens, cool, you already expected it. Be neutral, be stoic, and you're fine.
True detachment is the most magnetic frequency in the universe. Want to know what actually changed my life? Yeah, it wasn't trying harder. It wasn't being more disciplined. It wasn't manifesting more. No, it was the opposite. It was actually letting go. Letting go of control, letting go of needing to be liked, letting go of this false urgency to be somewhere else. You see, when you stop gripping outcomes so tightly, you create space, and in that space, life rushes in. The things that are meant for you find you. The relationships that match your worth feel safe enough to land. The money, the opportunities, they flow towards you, not because you're chasing, but because you're available. And here's the paradox. When you truly don't need it, you become the most attractive version of yourself.
People ask me all the time, well, Phil, what is my purpose? What should I do next? If that answer hasn't been revealed to you, it's because you're not supposed to know. You need to focus on other areas of your life to identify what you're holding on to that's holding you back. Be willing to let it go. Okay, once you let it go, you're going to be forced to cultivate more trust with the universe, because you don't know if you're going to get money, you don't know if you're going to meet someone. That requires trust. That's why things don't always arrive right away. The trust is the name of the game. The more trust you have with the universe, the bigger the reward is. So stop holding yourself back by holding on to things. You're actually living in an unreasonable way. Thinking that the universe is going to give you something when you're not willing to give something up, that's control. So yeah, it's always going to support you, but you won't be leveling up. You have to keep leveling up.
I'm going to tell you a secret. The more you're attached to something, the more likely you are to actually lose it. Desperation destroys leverage. When you need an outcome, your behavior changes. You overthink, you chase, you compromise your standards to protect what you're afraid to lose. People feel attachment immediately. In relationships, it shows up as pressure. In business, it shows up as desperation. When you negotiate, it shows up as a weakness. Attachment puts your nervous system in threat mode. Fear of loss narrows your judgment. You react instead of choose, and you start clinging instead of leading. That's why people lose respect when they feel that you're attached. They sense the dependence. They feel the imbalance. And imbalance creates distance. Detachment does the opposite. It keeps you calm, clear, and grounded. You act from choice instead of fear. If you can walk away, you negotiate better. You attract more respect, and more importantly, you protect your peace.